Let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure plan, the bipartisan plan. There was a lot of focus and obsession, I would say, with getting a couple of Republicans on board with this plan so that you can pass it in a bipartisan way. The reports are it includes some privatization schemes, things like asset recycling, which is basically just a fancy name for selling off some public works. Do you expect to vote in favor of that bill based on what you know?
Good question. All right, look. Between you and me, don't tell anybody. I think this whole process doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Look, you got needs out there. Mm-hmm. Should we invest heavily in rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, huge problem, wastewater plants, broadband? All of those are huge issues. Of course we should do it. My own preference would have been to do it in one bill. That's all. And get the 50 votes plus the vice president that we need. Again, there are 50 members of the Democratic caucus. Some felt it very important to, for whatever reason, to show the world that they can work with Republicans, and that's what this process is about. So I think by and large, and we haven't seen the fine print of this legislation yet as you and I chat, I think the investments are sensible. Roads, bridges, all that stuff. Creates jobs, it's important. What we call the pay-fors, how these things are going to be funded, in many ways do not make a lot of sense to me based on what I have seen up to now. They are pretty conservative approaches. And the reason for that is Republicans, of course, don't want to raise any taxes on the wealthy or large corporations. So the Democratic negotiators are caught in a bind.
What's your understanding right now of those pay-fors?
I think the
asset recycling.
Yeah, that is the idea that we privatize infrastructure, that we give over roads and bridges and parking meters or whatever it may be to the private sector, I think is a very foolish idea. I'm not a great fan of privatization. And what they are also doing is taking money from other pots of money that were passed in previous COVID bills, which should be used later on. Concern about small businesses, restaurants, et cetera. So in general, the pay-fors are not good. But here is the bottom line, and this is the world that we live in. Mm-hmm. We have 50 votes. One person says no, nothing happens. So I am willing to go along, I think, I want to see the final details, of the bipartisan bill if there is 100% agreement on the part of the Democrats who are negotiating this, that they are going to go along with the reconciliation package.
And do you have those assurances today?
That is a very good question. And the fate of all I can tell you is, if I have anything to say about it, there will not be a bipartisan bill unless there is a reconciliation bill.